former Razorback, former Packer. Brett, I'm sure you've seen the news about Kendal Briles. By the way, you were at the game last night because I think I saw you on the Jumbotron, or was it just someone that looked like you?
No, I was at the game. It was fun. I got to go down there, kind of a last-minute deal, and just get to see them and watch them win.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah, okay. So when's the last time you've been to a game? A basketball game?
It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So you show up and they don't make a three-pointer for the first time in 30. What's happening with that?
It was bad shooting. It didn't look good, but it was entertaining and fun to watch.
The streak died on your watch, man.
Brett's the opposite of a good luck charm. He's the one that I guess the bad luck charm. All right,
at least you got the win.
Yeah, Brett, I want to talk about this Kendal Briles stuff. You've seen the reports. You probably discussed it with your buddies, and now you're going to discuss it with us this morning. Do you think there's a realistic chance that Kendal Briles leaves KJ, leaves Arkansas, and takes this Miami offensive coordinator job amongst conflicting reports?
You know, it's very interesting to see. It's not surprising for him to get job offers. It was interesting to see that they were wanting to bring him down there, in my opinion. I think that for the success of Kendal, I think he's going to have more success here when you're going through year 3 into an offense with a quarterback that has a lot of talent, and the situation. You know everything that you're up against, and all the guys that you have coming in for that you've been working on recruiting class wise. And Miami just hasn't done a lot in the last few years, and it's been more than a few. It's been a lot of years that they just haven't been respectable, and I don't know that that's a situation that you want to go into as a coach when you can live here and make good money, and then maybe get your next step as a head job maybe next year.
Brett, when you look at KJ Jefferson's development this past year and you see the potential of what he could be under Kendal Briles and potentially a dark horse Heisman year and maybe the second best quarterback in the SEC, how important is the continuity to stay between those two and him to stay with KJ another season?
It's the communication. It's knowing what each other's, how they feed off of each other. And you see it not just with these two guys. You see it across the board, from college to NFL to even high school, where you've got that constant communication between the other guy knows what the other guy's thinking and what they're going to kind of accomplish and what the mindset is. Because when you can go out there and everything, you just play at ease and not worry about a whole lot, you actually are going to play better. And then the coaches are going to call a better game, because you're going to have a lot more situations where your guy can, he's going to make a good throw in this situation, or it might be a risky throw, but if it's running outside the pocket, he knows that he's got one throw to make, or he's going to throw it out of bounds and protect the football. So those things you've seen them kind of grow together. It's exciting to see. I'm hoping that Kendal stays, because I'd like to see year 3 under him and this offense and see what they can do.
When you put it all on paper, pros and cons, and you try to weigh it out, SEC West and the difficulty there, Florida, the recruiting grounds there, but the topsy-turvy nature of that program. Which is the better job? We've been kind of looking through, the pluses and the minuses of each job, and I don't think it's open and shut. What's your opinion on which job is the better job to be the offensive coordinator at?
Well, it's like you said, it's easier to recruit down there, but, you're also living in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and making – let's assume that the money's the same. You're making, your money's going to go a lot further in Arkansas than it is down there in Miami. They've had the facilities. I think Arkansas's facilities are top notch, especially compared to Miami. So just everything around it, and then the love. There's so many things to do when you go to these big cities. You can see that LA games and all these other things. When there's so much stuff to do, the stadium's not really full. The atmosphere's not great. You come around here and it's, football season comes around, we got a game. It's people out there tailgating and everything, so you get the whole atmosphere and everything that you really want, as a player and a coach.
Yeah, you're in a town that has an NFL team. You're in a town that has an NBA team. You're in a town with baseball, all the big sports in Miami. Different culture, different feel. The U isn't the dominant thing there anymore. Is that important? When you're thinking about offensive coordinator? I think we talk about that, but it's clear when you're in a town like Miami, a city like Miami, you're not going to be the number one thing that's written about in the newspaper, talked about on the radio. That might be an attractive thing in some ways, but also it has its drawbacks too, Brett.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of those kids are going to Florida, going to Florida State, programs that the success has been more consistent than what it has been in Miami. Miami's got a lot of great football players, but they just haven't ever been able to kind of turn that corner for a while now to kind of make that thing go in motion. They've had multiple different head coaches down there and trying to get that program going. But I just think that this situation is not the perfect fit for him you could go down there and could be a career killer, where you're going to go, you think you're going to step up and you go to Miami and you don't necessarily have the things that you need to have, even though the SEC West is tough, then you got to downgrade, a year or two after that, and then you're playing catch up from there.
Brett Goode with us now here on the Morning Rush, part of the Henderson Phillips Employer Solution team. Brett, Arkansas right now, thanks to the addition that they got yesterday on the recruiting trail and I'm forgetting his name, Caleb Jones, they are now in the top 5 in all of college football in their current recruiting ranking. Now, that's subject to change. There's not even any commits to this point to some other schools. But we've seen some 24/7 guys say that there's potential for Arkansas to get a top 10 class, which would be the first in the history of the recruiting rankings. Do you foresee this staff, assuming they have a good season this upcoming year, you think they can get a top 10 class in football? It's easy in basketball and baseball, or easier. Can they do it in football?
I think they've got a legitimate chance. That's one thing that when we hired Sam Pittman, that it was recruiting. That's what he's going to push. And you got to remember, the first year he couldn't be in the family's homes and everything else, to do the normal recruiting scene. And now you're going to see kind of what he can do. We've known what he's done at other programs, but what he can do as a head coach, and it's a credit to his assistant coaches as well, because those guys, I don't know if they get as much credit as they deserve. They've got to keep up a lot of these relationships. Sam's kind of got to talk to everybody, but they've got to talk to the individual guys, the position coaches. They're doing a heck of a job as well. And the thing that you want to see is that you just that love, that they're having fun. They love working for Sam. They want to get players in here, and then the players talking to these other players saying, man, it's a great place. They love you here. It's fun to play for, and all these different things. People don't understand a lot of times, but those players talk to each other. And so if they don't like that head coach, you're not going to get as many players. So it's a family-oriented, affair here that's going on, and you're seeing all these guys kind of starting to perk up. And then they also know that they come here and you're going to have a legitimate shot to start right away, because we've still built this thing, but we've lost a lot of seniors this year, and so there's always that motion that's going forward with that in the transfer portal. So it's exciting to see them, and hopefully they can keep that up.
Brad, I don't know if you saw the number 1 game on ESPN in college football was the Arkansas-Ole Miss game. And I was thinking back, my favorite game of last year was Texas A&M. I would say that 90+% of people would say the Texas game was their favorite. Pick a college football game in 2021. It doesn't have to be Arkansas, but which one stood out to you the most that you would say is your favorite game that you watched this past year?
Honestly, I'd have to go with Texas, because I got, that was there in person. It was fun. The atmosphere, you could kind of see that everybody assumed that we were back. Everything was moving in the right direction. There was so much excitement around the stadium. The tailgate was unreal, and then the stadium was unreal as well. And so for me personally, that was the best one that I saw. A lot of people are going to be biased for everything, and it's a personal opinion. But being in there in that atmosphere was just, I think it's second to none.
Brett, I want to ask you about the divisional round that's this weekend and the NFL playoffs. Always a fun time. I'm sure it was when you were a player. The Green Bay Packers going to host San Francisco. We saw that was a tough matchup for the Cowboys in the way that San Fran runs the ball. How does Green Bay stop the 49ers running attack this weekend?
Well, that's going to be really tough. Aaron's 0-3 in the last 3 starts against the 49ers in the playoffs, and it's not been good. Green Bay went out there this year and they got a last-minute field goal. They're favored by 6. I know it's supposed to be, they're saying anywhere from -3 to 7 degrees. So you got to think that plays in Green Bay's favor. San Fran flew from Dallas, short week, going to fly back to Green Bay in the cold. So you're hoping that you might get a little something there. And San Francisco's got a couple of guys that might not be able to play. Bosa, with his concussion, is still kind of out there. And Green Bay's really gotten healthy. They've gotten some offense. They got David Bakhtiari back, and they've gotten Zadarius Smith. So it's going to be interesting to see that they've been on a roll, and you just wonder if, they basically took 2 weeks off too, because a lot of the starters didn't play in Detroit as long as they probably should have. And then they had last week off. So you're kind of wondering if that momentum thing that's always debated every year around the playoffs, if you sit guys or make them play.
All right, that's Saturday night on Fox. The earlier game Saturdays, the Bengals and the Titans. Can the Bengals continue the run and They won their first one in 30 years. What happens between Cincinnati and Tennessee?
It's an interesting matchup because the Bengals have been so hot. Joe Burrow's been playing lights out, but the Titans they won 6 of 3. They were 6-3 in the last 9 games without Derrick Henry, and now they get Derrick Henry back. And so, how much are they going to weigh on Derrick Henry? I don't know. I think if it's tight, they're going to lean on him a little bit more. I think it's going to be a great ball game. It's a good matchup. It's going to be fun to watch. And I'm excited to see I think that's the favorite to win, the AFC and make it to the Super Bowl, in my opinion, coming out of this game.
All right, Rams on short rest take on Tampa, Buffalo at Kansas City, and the latter game on Sunday. Who do you like in the 2 Sunday matchups?
I still like the Tampa at home. They're always tough, and they've got this thing rolling. And I see just Tom just being Tom and making, their defense is playing a lot better than they have been. And the Kansas City and Buffalo game is very interesting. If their defense comes out, Kansas City that comes out and plays really good, and Patrick doesn't turn the ball over like he did early in their season, I think Kansas City wins. But you always think about those teams that blow out a team like Buffalo did to the Patriots, and then next week they have a letdown. And so that's going to be an interesting key point to watch and see if Buffalo has that letdown, or if they're ready to make that next step. So I think that's going to be a good ball game as well.
All right, good breakdown on the NFL weekend and the divisional round coming up. Brett's now with Henderson Phillips after a 10-year NFL career. If you're the HR person, a small business owner, or maybe just someone looking for a better deal on insurance this morning, Brett, you can handle insurance, employee benefits, and a whole lot more.
That's right. We can handle it all. We do HR consulting. We do anything that needs to be done. And if we can't do it, we can find the right person for you because we have those relationships as well.
All right, the small business owner's friend. That's Brett Goode, 479-651-2292. Even medium-sized companies, if you're looking for a better deal or a better administration of your employee benefits, call Brett today with Henderson Phillips, 651-2292. Good to see you. Good to talk to you this morning. We'll chat next week.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the #1 spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile wagering to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's BLEAV. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.